Hello, and welcome again to another episode of 10-Minute Talkies. Okay, I didn't really intend to put emphasis on those. It's just that I'm a little scatterbrained right now. I've been working since probably 2 a.m. or something. But anywhoots, so this is the second episode of 10-Minute Talkies, and I want to talk about, I have bipolar 1. So here's my experience. First things first, you might want to ask me how and when I got diagnosed. I won't tell you the exact year when I got diagnosed, but I will tell you how I got diagnosed. It was in college. I had over 6 months of depression. I would just play games and then I wouldn't go to school. I probably just went to, yeah, I definitely just went to PE or physical, what do they call that? Physical education, like, you know, sports and stuff, sports, health, getting healthy, things like that. That was the only class that I went to, not for anything else, but because I didn't want to go back to it. And I wanted to be able to move on from that year with credits on that class. So, anywhoots, my parents noticed that I didn't want to go to class and stuff. So they talked to my grandaunt and my grandaunt gave them Prozac. So I was taking Prozac and later when I ran out of Prozac I was switched to Zoloft. Prozac is fluoxetine, whereas Zoloft is sertraline. Mm, by December that year, I careened. I started taking them, I think, September. By December, I careened into a mania. So when I careened into a mania, I was awake for 3 whole days. And when I was awake for 3 whole days, mm, I couldn't sleep and I was crying like just like that, snap, snap. And like there was the day that I went home. I was living in the university. So the day that I went home, I was crying and I was writing on my hand. I was writing on my arm, I think. I was writing on a piece of legal pad, that yellow pad, on an intermediate pad that's for elementary and high school students. It's white and it's almost as big as a legal pad. And I was writing on a 1/4 sheet of paper that's the size a fourth of an intermediate pad and a notebook. I had so many thoughts and I couldn't contain them. And after that, I just couldn't chase my thoughts. So I asked my best friend for 100 pesos so I could take myself home. And when I did, I on my way home, I had all of these 5 thoughts at once. And in spite of how noisy my brain was, oh my God, I was still able to hear intensely and so loudly an airplane passing overhead. It was so trippy. And when I got home, I wanted to sleep. And I was looking through this book of medical conditions, and I told my mom, you know what, I have bipolar disorder. I don't have depression. I have bipolar disorder. I really, really need to see a psychiatrist. So we looked for a psychiatrist. It's in the Philippines, especially in the provinces. It's pretty much um, there's pretty much a big taboo about it. So there, and then when that happened, um my mom and I looked for no, I looked for the psychiatrist. I called friends and stuff, and I thought about a classmate who has a doctor for a dad, and he referred me to um a resident physician in a local public hospital, and she told me that I indeed have bipolar disorder, bipolar 1. She considered me bipolar 1 because I presented with mania. So that was why. So, um, after that, I've been on a cocktail of medications, antipsychotics, and mood stabilizers. But nowadays, I am on. Um, I started with lithium carbonate, but then I graduated to anticonvulsants because they're also used for mania, for as a mood stabilizer. So now I'm on another anticonvulsant, which is Depakote ER or extended release, and I highly recommend that. It's valproic acid, I think, or sodium valproate. I'm not quite sure. So, what was life without medications? There was a time that I stopped medicating. That was 2008, and for 10 years I didn't medicate because I really wanted to be well without medications, and I didn't want to hurt my kidneys. But between 2008 to 2018, I was not on meds. So, how was life without medications? I was irritable. I had, I think I had an ongoing hypomania because my auditory senses were just too acute. I hated it when people slammed their doors. I would get into fights. Life after medications, I was actually more even. I now had this desire to stop yelling at people. I still yell sometimes when people don't use their brain cells, but it's it's a lot less now, and I have this desire to stop doing that. So I also had this time wherein I asked my psychiatrist to increase my dosage of Depakote ER from 750 mg to 1000 mg because I felt like it was not enough to curb my moods. So, you know what? I just wanted to say I was on Depamax before and it was not good enough. I was actually more moody. You know why? Because valproic acid or sodium valproate has a weird effect that if it's too high in your body, you could actually have more mood swings than when you have an actual than when you have the optimal dose. So that's a tip for you. That's why I prefer extended release. Even if it's not Depakote ER, I would recommend extended release. I'm not sure if it's as good, but I will say that I prefer Depakote ER. So, anywho's, my tip for anybody who believes that they might have mania or hypomania, check if you're impulse spending. Check if you're doing things that you are frustrated that you're doing them, like being so impulsive with not just on spending but with fighting with people, with your decisions, even in sexual decisions. Hypersexuality is a symptom of bipolar disorder. And then after you've noticed that you have quite a few symptoms, Google your symptoms. Check if you have bipolar 1 symptoms or even bipolar 2 symptoms, and then when you find that you might have that you meet at least the minimum number of the condition, take yourself to a psychiatrist. It's always great to confirm with a psychiatrist. So, life after medications, I was more even. So, I highly recommend being on medications. Therapy is definitely recommended as well. But know that a patient's recovery is always in their own hands. So, I would say that self care is important. Um, Having a great network of friends who will support you, not just socially, but also in prayer, is very important, and um keeping tabs or checking in with a psychologist and a psychiatrist every 6 months is super highly fucking recommended. So I'm on my last 10 seconds. I'm going to talk up to 5 seconds more. So tune in for more talkies about mental health and other stuff because I will be talking about them more in the coming episodes. I've gone over 10 seconds. Yes. But yes, see you on the, or hear or talk to you on the next episode. Okay, bye.